I am Ferdinand Marcos, and I am the President of the Republic of the Philippines. I stand today on behalf of 110 million Filipinos.
Interpolator, we have the Honorable Vice Chair Jill Bungalon.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Madam Chair, I totally agree with the statements made by my colleagues, especially those who are first-termers and neophytes, with respect to the tradition, Madam Chair. Madam Chair, we do not cut that tradition, and in fact, we invoked that tradition yesterday, given the fact that the Office of the President is ably represented by the Executive Secretary. Compared today, Madam Chair, not a single employee or official from the Office of the Vice President is present. So that is the big question, Madam Chair. We cannot extend the courtesy to the said official if she is not present in today's budget hearing. Secondly, Madam Chair, I just would like to summarize the concerns or issues being raised by my colleagues in today's budget hearing. Number one, Madam Chair, it is apparent in the statements made by the Commission on Audit that there are inefficiencies on the part of the Vice President. Let me give you a summary, Madam Chair. For instance, in the program of the OBP, which is the Magnegosyo Taday, wherein the budget allocated is 150 million pesos. And based on the report, it is only 600,000 pesos or 0.40% were utilized as of December 31 of 2023. Secondly, Madam Chair, it was presented a while ago the excessive rentals of the satellite offices and storage spaces of the Office of the Vice President. These are the questions, Madam Chair, that could have answered no less than by our Vice President.
Hala, nasaan yung mga pera?
Next, Madam Chair, I would like to emphasize the redundancies on the socio-economic program delivery, wherein these programs are being given by other agencies under the executive department. And that is why I just would like to be clarified why the Office of the Vice President is also giving the same assistances, given the fact that these are already existing and there are other agencies that handle these programs. Just to give you a brief background, Madam Chair, there is a substantial increase in the budget for socio-economic program delivery, rising to 1.9 billion in 2025, up from 1.7 billion in 2024. The justification for this increase is not clearly outlined in the budget, Madam Chair, particularly when the Office of the Vice President does not have a primary mandate to manage socio-economic programs. Madam Chair, it is my humble submission that the increase could imply that funds are being used for projects outside the OBP's traditional scope, possibly overlapping with other agencies, leading to inefficiencies and redundant spending. Another, Madam Chair, given that the OBP does not traditionally manage socio-economic programs, this raises several questions about the necessity, efficiency, and accountability of such expenditures. To give you a highlight, Madam Chair, the substantial increase in the MOOE from 1.624 billion in 2024 to 1.765 billion in 2025 with only a marginal increase in personal services suggests a disproportionate focus on the operational expenses that are not clearly defined. This can be seen on page 32 of the Office of the Vice President file. In other words, Madam Chair, there is only a marginal increase in personal services suggests a disproportionate focus on operational expenses that are not clearly defined. Another issue that I would like to raise, Madam Chair, unfortunately this could not be answered by the Vice President, is the excessive travel and representation expenses. The budget includes 62 million for traveling expenses and 87.9 million for representation expenses.
OMG.
These amounts, Madam Chair, are unusually high, particularly for an office that does not have an extensive field presence or international role, unlike departments such as Foreign Affairs. Therefore, Madam Chair, the necessity of such large travel and representation budget could be questioned.
Oh my goodness.
Also, Madam Chair,
Grabe pala
I would
ito
like to
gumastos.
also raise the increase in operating expenses
62
despite fewer programs. The maintenance and other operating expenses increased to 1.792 billion from the previous year,
Oh dear.
despite no significant increase in the number of programs of clear explanation of new initiatives that require such funding. This increase, Madam Chair, without a clear explanation could be seen as fiscally irresponsible.
Nako.
Madam Chair, as a first-termer and a neophyte, it saddens me, Madam Chair, that we cannot give that courtesy to an official who is not present today. I also know and respect the tradition that is being given, but the respect should be mutual, Madam Chair. And therefore, we cannot extend that courtesy by observing inter-branch courtesy to the second highest official of the land, which is the Vice President. Madam Chair, my time is will already end. I'll just manifest later on, Madam Chair, because I was informed that there are also members who wish to interpolate today's budget hearing, Madam Chair. Thank
Ay,
you, Madam Chair.
grabe guys.
Salamat, Cong Jill.
Ano ba
Next to
yan? Ang
interpolate
daming
is
pera.
our Appropriations Chair, the Honorable Elisaldico.
Grabe pala